What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Thunder Sports Pod with JT, and
Stash, baby. We back again.
we're gonna have some NFL content starting off the day early. Some NFL comparison. Who is better all time? Quarterback Carson Palmer or Donovan McNabb?
I'm taking McNabb. I don't know about you, but I'm taking McNabb on this.
Hmm.
I think McNabb was just the better all around like QB. I think he was also more of a dual threat, especially like one of the real like the first guys to start running the ball as much as he did.
Hmm. Yeah, McNabb was definitely a good quarterback. I feel like somewhat underrated all time. You don't really think about him when you're thinking about quarterbacks all time, but I'm going Carson Palmer here. I think he was the better overall quarterback. The longevity, the peak was better, and he had 10,000 more passing yards than Donovan McNabb had. He had over 60 more passing touchdowns than McNabb. Granted, he had a lot more interceptions with him playing longer, but I'm taking those numbers over the interceptions. Plus, might you add, he had 6 seasons where he had over 4,000 passing yards. McNabb had a goose egg. He never reached over 4,000 passing yards in his entire career.
That's true. I will give you that. 2000, 2008, he did have 39, but I mean, maybe not passing yards as a whole, but total yards, 100%. He's had 4K.
Mm.
Like if you look at his rushing seasons, like how many yards he carried, 99. He had 313 yards, but like his best year was definitely his second year. He had 629 yards rushing back then, all the way
Yeah.
back in 2000. That
Started gaining the weight towards the end of his career.
yeah, you gonna put on a little weight as you get older, JT. It's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
happen.
yeah. Hmm.
Also, Dominic Nab's been to 3 NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's very true. If Carson Palmer didn't blow his knee out that one year, though, there's no telling what that team could have done under Palmer because they were having an insane run. So I think they would have won the chip that year.
There's a good possibility they do. There is a good possibility that they upset the Steelers in the Super Bowl that year. But I like me personally. I thought Palmer was better on Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean he had Ocho Cinco.
Ooh, and
He
TJ,
had some.
who's your mama?
Who's your mama? Yeah, I mean he had some really good seasons with the Bengals. Unfortunately, they didn't really go anywhere with him. Um, but
And
he had some pretty good years there with them. I mean his best year was arguably probably either in 2010 or in 2006 and 7. Those 3 seasons, he definitely put up the good numbers. Looking at it right now, I would say 2006 was his best year. 28 touchdowns to 13 picks on 4,035 yards. Yeah, that was a very solid year for Carson Palmer. So I think he doesn't get talked about enough as a good quarterback. But give me Carson Palmer over Donovan McNabb. But what do you guys think? Donovan McNabb or Carson Palmer? Who you guys
damn,
taking?
dang.
Palmer, baby. We'll go ahead.
That's coming from someone who doesn't like the Eagles. I'm taking McNabb.
Mm, yeah. We'll go ahead and move on to the next topic, everybody, though. This is a Guess That Player game, NFL edition. So I'm going to give you some hints, and you're going to give me your best
Go,
guess, Stash.
go.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's hit it. Let's go.
Okay. Starting off rip, this is a wide receiver.
Okay.
He got drafted from Kansas State University in 2008.
2008.
Yeah.
Trying to think of
He
wide
was the
receiver.
second round pick.
Second round pick out of Kansas State.
Hmm.
Ooh.
He made the Pro Bowl in 2014 for an NFC team.
Made the Pro Bowl for an NFC team in 2014.
Hmm.
Hmm.
He won NFL Comeback Player of the Year in 2016. He is a Super Bowl champion.
Here's hope.
I'll give you two more hints.
What you got?
He played in the NFC North.
NFC North. Kansas State. No, Randy Moss went to Michigan. Right, not Michigan. He went to Florida State, and then he went to Marshall after that. So it's not Randy.
Mhm.
Um, Calvin Johnson is played at Georgia Tech, so I already know it's not him. Um, he's a Super Bowl champion.
I'll give you his
Play for the
totals.
Packers. So he did play for the Packers.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, he has. Is it the what's his face? He has a broken leg in Madden and scored.
Mhm.
No, no.
Not great. No, not Greg Jennings.
Okay, you
No.
know who I was talking about though. You know who I was talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah. Puts back on the team. Yeah.
Literally. Let's see
Put him
here.
on his back.
So he's a
Oh wow.
Packer from '08 until probably like you say he came comeback player of the year in 14. Not Randall Cobb, is it?
No, you're getting every Packers receiver but this guy.
Alan Lazard's too young. I'm trying to think. Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna give you his stats real quick.
Okay.
His career stats: 613 receptions, 8,587 receiving yards, 72 receiving touchdowns. He played for two NFL teams.
What's the other team he played for?
Primarily known with Green Bay.
That's the '08. I'm trying to think. I was 12 when he got drafted.
He played for the Packers from '08 to 2017 and the Raiders in 18.
18. Oh, well, that's crazy. Another Packer that plays for the Packers majority and then goes to the Raiders. It's
Yeah.
not Devontae Adams, but I don't know who is it.
Jordy Nelson.
Stop. Yes, Jordy fucking no. Oh my goodness.
Oh Lord. Everybody flame stash in the comments,
Uh,
please, for not knowing who this guy was.
oh, I'm naming
Jordy
every
Nelson.
Packer I can think of off the top of my head. Like, '08, such a weird year too. I'm like,
Yeah, that is.
Kansas State, really? I only
Mm-hmm.
know one guy that
Yeah.
ever came out of Kansas State, and that was Josh Freeman. That's the only one I ever think of because he got drafted to Tampa in the first round, and he was
Yeah.
a boncho.
I'm pretty sure Julian Edelman went to Kansas State as well.
Did he? I didn't know that.
Hmm.
I knew he did JC and up, but I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Crazy, man.
somehow.
We'll go ahead and move on to our next segment, everybody. So, quarterback talk again. Who would you rather have to start your franchise stash? The battle between the Matts. Matt Stafford or Matt Ryan?
I like this. I like this because like this is interesting. Matt Ryan has an MVP.
Hmm.
Matt Ryan does not have a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Vice versa.
Hmm.
Trying to think. I'm trying to look at the comparing their teams to who they had. You take Matt Ryan, he had Julio, but you got Matt
Yep.
Stafford, you got Megatron.
Yep. You want me to give him?
I rank Megatron ahead of Julio.
Yeah. Do you want to hear my answer?
I'm gonna say, based off of what I know, I'm gonna go with Matt Stafford on this. Who do you got?
I've got Stafford as well. We both agree on this for once. But yes, I'm taking Matt Stafford here. He does not have an MVP. He has a Super Bowl ring, but I think when you're starting a franchise, I want a guy that's got that toughness, that ability to stay in games. Matt Ryan didn't miss a whole lot of games, but Stafford you can depend on every single game to deliver it down the field. And he had a stronger arm than Matt Ryan as well. Accuracy, you can question. Matt Ryan has been beat on that, but I'm taking Matt Stafford to start my team.
The one thing I will say about injuries with Matt Ryan, if you look at his statistics on injuries, he doesn't get injured a lot, but when he does, it's really bad. So that's the one thing you have to take in
Mhm.
consideration. Usually, when he gets hurt, it's a bad injury. But
Well,
minor injuries don't bother me.
I mean, he's played through some major injuries though, like broken ribs and
Tony
several
Romo,
other
yeah.
injuries. Yeah, yeah. Um, that was crazy. He threw that touchdown pass with a broke rib and then came off the field after the game-winning touchdown.
Oh yeah.
But I think we both are in agreement here. We would take Matthew Stafford. Let us know down below in the comments who you guys are taking, Matt Ryan or Matthew Stafford to start your team.
There's only
We'll go
one
ahead and
right.
move on to
There's
the.
only one right answer, but
Oh
just in
yeah,
case.
only one answer, only correct answer. We'll move on to the next topic. Staying on the NFL agenda. Who is the most improved player in the NFL this season, Stash?
Improved?
Most improved.
Oh, most improved. I'm gonna go with this season, the one who I think's really impressed me the most. Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco gets off the couch and comes into
Oh
Cleveland.
man.
Okay, listen. I'm if he wins a Super Bowl, it's gonna be really hard to think he's not a Hall of Famer. I'm just saying. If he wins two Super Bowls,
Yeah.
two listen, the two is like the cutoff. If you get two Super Bowl wins as a starting QB, good chance you're going down the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah.
If you have mediocre
Yeah.
stats the rest of your career, you're still probably got a chance going in, a very high chance. So Flacco's played for a long time. He's accumulated those stats, and the fact he came off the couch and he's been balling out. I gotta give a lot of credit to him, especially since they don't even have their star running back Nick Chubb for the Browns this upcoming season.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. And Joe Flacco, like you mentioned, that's a great pick, Stash, because he's been on fire. He has been delivering for the Browns. And who would have thought of it, man? That Joe Flacco's been dealing, and he is putting them in prime position to make the playoffs. They won't win their division most likely, but for my pick, going back to most improved player of the year, I like the Joe Flacco selection. That was probably gonna be my second choice if I had a second choice. My number one pick here is Deron Bland of the Cowboys. He broke Deion Sanders' pick six record. And this guy was not going to most people's projections, not going to live up to the hype of replacing Trayvon Diggs opposite Stephon Gilmore. But boy, has he proved people wrong this year. And yes, I know he allows some yardage from time to time on him. But when you break any sort of Deion Sanders record, that is very, very
That's fair.
impressive. So my most improved player this year is Deron Bland of the Dallas Cowboys because he's been balling out this year and he's been putting himself on notice.
I mean, he's
League
got
wide. League
five
wide.
pick sixes of the season.
Mm-mm. I
Six?
believe it's 7 or 8.
Is that right? I
Yeah.
can't remember if he got any more. I knew he broke the record. The record was four, and he got
Yeah.
five. I didn't know if he got any more. But I know that that is an incredible feat. To be able to
Yeah.
break a Deion Sanders record is like an amazing moment. You gotta feel good about that. I still don't think he's win.
Exactly.
I don't think he's winning Defensive Player of the Year, even though I think he should be considered a little higher than like what he's being let. But you are
Mhm.
right. His coverage is not the best. But if you got a guy that when he touches the ball, he's taking it the other way for a score, that's nice to have.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of what Trayvon did anyway, so he's basically just replacing him essentially. Um, but I don't think he'll win Defensive Player of the Year. But he's definitely my pick for most improved player because before this was even being said, he was a role player at best. So filling in for Trayvon, he's been stepping up huge for that Dallas defense this year.
No, he's actually yeah. I've been very impressed with that. That's an awesome feat to be able to accomplish in a season,
Oh, 100%.
especially like an all-time great like it is.
And to have his name up there with Deion Sanders all time, have that forever for the rest of his life, that he's above Deion Sanders for most pick sixes in one season. If anybody, we would think maybe Jalen Ramsey or Jair Alexander, but no, it is the man himself, Deron Bland. So there we
Alexander got
go. There we have it.
uh, suspended a game. You see that?
Yep. Yep, he
Stupid.
did.
Stupid.
But we'll go ahead and move on to the next segment, everybody. So he is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan,
Me?
Stash, everybody,
What?
as you know it. Huh? Who would know? Who would know?
How did you know?
And I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. So who is the most underrated player of all time for the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Minnesota Vikings? You go ahead and go first.
So this one I had to think about for a minute. There's a lot I had to like compress because I had to really think about it. I'm like, does he like is he on this topic? Are you thinking more of like underappreciated by everyone or underappreciated by your team?
Hmm.
And I took this as like underappreciated by the team. And
Hmm.
my pick is Keyshawn Johnson
Ooh,
for the Tampa Bay
okay.
Buccaneers in the early 2000s. Gruden and him had an issue. Gruden shipped him off. And I think that was like, it was way too much. I get him and Gruden had issues, but like Keyshawn was an absolute great receiver. And the fact that he went to division rival, the Panthers, during that time was just, so for me, I got to go with Keyshawn.
Hmm. I remember watching a NFL Films documentary from Warren Sapp's point of view about that year that y'all won the Super Bowl. when you brought in Keyshawn Johnson, he was one of the primary advocates to bring him in. And he saw how much the difference was between him and the rest of the team, dialing in and just trying to win the Super Bowl. Like he Keyshawn was not really 100% locked in because he was just there to get paid. He got the bag and he did not have the work ethic like some of the other
To
teammates.
do
I
that.
mean, that's what Warren Sapp said
Oh no, no, no!
himself.
I'm in
He didn't think
agreement.
he didn't think that he was like taking this seriously, and he had to really get on to him for that.
I mean, the defense is what won us the Super Bowl for a reason.
Exactly, that's the truth. But I like that pick for y'all. That's Keyshawn was a very good
First,
receiver. Not a lot of people
first
think
jersey
about
I
him.
ever owned.
So yeah, there
Keyshawn
you go.
Johnson was the
There you go.
first jersey I ever owned.
Mm, that's a nice one to have.
My dad gave it to me. It was way oversized,
Mm.
but I loved it.
I think for my pick for the Minnesota Vikings, the most underrated player, personally, I feel like, is not Randy Moss, not Chris Carter, but the third receiver in that trio, Jake Reed. I don't know if you've even heard of him, but
No,
I'm gonna list off a little description from for you real quick. In 1994, Reed combined with fellow receiver Chris Carter for 207 receptions, which was an NFL record at the time. Carter and Reed combined to become the first teammate duo to amass 1,000 yards in each 4 consecutive seasons. Reed was the NFC Offensive Player of the Month in September 1997 for 34 catches with 521 yards. So, this man, Jake Reed, was Mr. Consistent behind Randy Moss and Chris Carter. Very good in his tenure with the Vikings, and not a lot of people talk about him. So, I think he's the most underrated player of all time for the Minnesota Vikings.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah,
But with those
there you
other
go.
names around, it's hard to.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I
But he
get
was
why he probably wasn't nearly as appreciated with the other talent around.
exactly, yeah. But he was very dependable and always would come up with
It makes me think of
crucial catches.
a Buccaneer. Like we had a guy like that. I loved him. He played for us for a couple years.
Hmm.
His name was Ike Hilliard,
Mm,
and he played for like Seattle for a little bit. And he played for us, and I just liked him. I just liked him. He wasn't a big star. Like he just made little
yeah.
receptions here and there, but I always liked him on the team.
Oh yeah. I mean, those guys stick in your mind like forever. That make those crucial, like dependable plays.
Oh, 100%. Um, I like the Super Bowl for the Bucks in the early 2000s that you were talking about. Dexter
Mm,
Jackson won Super Bowl MVP as a defensive player.
mm,
We cut him in the offseason. Like we didn't re-sign him in the offseason.
mm.
I mean, that was the best game he ever played. Don't get me wrong. He had like 3 picks and 2 of them for return for touchdowns.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
I feel you on that. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next segment, everybody. Stash, what should the Chicago Bears do with the first overall pick in the draft? If it was
easy,
up to you.
easy. If I'm like, they might as well just call me up there to like make the decision for them because obviously I don't know why this is even a question. If I am the minute, am I if I'm the Chicago Bears and I'm actually going to use this pick and not trade it. So that's what I'm taking into consideration. They're not trading this pick. They're making a
Mm,
selection. If I'm them, I'm taking Marvin Harrison
yeah.
Jr. as my wide receiver with the #1 overall pick for
Mm,
my future QB, who I've seen that now is the in the errors of my ways, the what Chicago needs in Justin
yeah.
Fields. DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison Jr., Justin Fields get another draft pick to fix the O line, a little bit of the defense, and maybe like a decent running back. And you traded Monty. I don't necessarily get why because I don't. Monty was
Yeah.
good. Obviously, look
He
what he's
was.
doing in Detroit.
Oh yeah.
So yes, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the only correct pick for the Chicago Bears to make without trading.
I agree with that pick, and I would make the same selection if I was the Bears with the #1 overall pick. I would select Marvin Harrison Jr. #1 overall, but here's what I would do. If I would trade the pick, which I would trade down probably 2 spots to the #3 pick, 3 or 4, and that way you can acquire more assets while still acquiring Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think there's a single team that would draft Marvin Harrison Jr. one
The
besides,
Cardinals.
huh? I don't think they
The
would.
Cardinals are projected to take him at like 3.
Well, that's why you can't let them get above you. So I would trade back a little bit, but
Well,
still
they
making
got the number
sure.
one pick, and they can only and Cardinals got three. The only way you could do that is you trade back one spot to two.
Well, if you can acquire that much more of assets, then why not?
I mean,
And you can still get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Patriots got the second pick, so
Okay, well, trade with the Patriots, and they'll get a quarterback, and then you can get Marvin Harrison Jr., acquiring more assets, moving back a pick. That makes perfect sense. So I would do that. I would acquire Marvin Harrison Jr. by trading back slightly, and then with the acquired assets, I would. You're going to get a top 10 pick besides your with your second pick. So with your second pick, I would draft Joe Alt, the tackle from Notre Dame, re up and reassure your offensive line. Go out and get a defensive player in the second round. So I think this Bears team next year could be pretty solid. I feel like they could make the playoffs.
next year, they if
But
they
as a wild card.
if they get if they can get Marvin Harrison Jr. with DJ Moore, I think the offense will start clicking more. I like getting the offensive lineman and their second pick in the
Mm-hmm.
first round. That makes a lot of sense, especially since their O line.
Yeah.
Justin Fields definitely has to work on a few things in this offseason. I'm not saying he's perfect, but I think he is the future of Chicago. I think he's the best choice for
Agreed.
them, and that's just how I look at it. Now the Patriots, I don't know if the Patriots are willing to trade because there's a lot of QBs in this draft, and I think a few of
Mm-hmm.
them fit their scheme.
Yeah, that
I
is very true.
so I'm thinking even if at first like I would be more willing to trade my second pick than my first pick.
Mm-hmm.
So like because I got two picks in the first round, you trade your second pick back for like an extra two or three picks later in the draft, and I would accumulate the offensive lines, maybe a little bit of DBs. Because what's it, Sweat for the Chicago?
Yeah.
He had 6.5 sacks when he played for the Commanders, and now he has 6.5 sacks with Chicago. Like he's done that on two different teams in the same season. Like
Mm.
that's nuts. So I would take that
Pretty
into
crazy.
consideration too. Like your defense is getting better. A little bit of pieces here and there could really fix things, and you can get your offense rolling. I think then I how many games they've won this year so far? Five,
5 or 6, yeah.
5 or 6. I think next year they win 7 to 8 games
Mm-hmm.
if they take Marvin Harrison Jr. in the number one pick.
Yeah. I think it'd be smart for them to get Marvin Harrison Jr., but there's been reports he might come back to Ohio State for another year, so he's not been 100% definitive to the next topic, everybody. Who is one player in the league currently you'd stand up for no matter what in the NFL?
I got two. I had to think
Yeah.
about this, and one of them I'm biased on because he's a Buck. The other
Mm,
one does not play for the Bucks, but I stand up for him a lot because I think he's very very good at his job. So my
mm,
Buccaneer obviously is Mike Evans. I'm 100% of Mike Evans stance, but like that we already know
mm.
that. So like yeah, Mike Evans on that. So my other one is Justin fucking Herbert. Justin Herbert. I
Yeah,
stand
yeah.
up for that man so much.
Yeah, you do, you do.
I don't even know why because like he played at Oregon. I don't like Oregon. He plays in California. I don't like California. Like what is it? Like I just think the dude's a good QB and he doesn't get enough credit. Like
Yeah.
he needs so much help, man. Like Keenan Allen is great. Don't he's had the best season of like one of the best seasons of his career this season. He has looked fantastic.
Mm,
But man, like Eckler is not a good running back. He's a great
mm,
receiving back. He's just not a good running back. So like it drives me nuts with that. And then Mike Williams is hurt, so he's out for the year. So I'm just
yeah.
like the whole team was falling apart. Their defense was lackluster with hold on with two great defensive players on it when Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. And Khalil Mack's played great. He's had a lot of like sacks this season. He's had a lot of tackles for losses. He's looked good, but it's not enough to get it done for like Herbert.
Mm.
Like it's just aggravating.
And Quentin Johnston, the rookie receiver from TCU, he's not been producing at all for that team. He's looking like a bust unless he improves dramatically the next couple of seasons. If I was the Chargers, you got to go out and get a free agent wide receiver or somebody in that organization to help Justin Herbert. Austin Eckler has been looking like he's been digressing a lot in his production on the field the last few weeks. Next year, he might be a shell of his former self, so we'll have to wait and see. But Herbert, I agree with you. He is someone that gets a lot of hate for no reason. But my person, I would stand up for. I've got two as well, like you. My little homer pick I've got is Kirk Cousins
Oh yeah.
for the
Oh,
Vikings.
100%
Um,
Kirk Cousins for you.
because Kirk is such a great guy. I mean, he stands up for what he believes in and his faith. I love that. Not only that, but He is just a great teammate, always enthusiastic. He's a great role model. He plays great, exceptionally. He was having a career best year. Statistically speaking, he would have been in the MVP conversation if he'd have kept up the level of play before he got hurt. But
100%. No,
and
he was
and, and
balling out.
yeah, and you look at the quarterback carousel now with the Vikings. They miss him dearly, and
Hey,
I feel like
look at
two or three of those games we could have won if Cousins was on that field. So
Lions
I think
game.
Lions, Bengals, Broncos, yeah. Um, but they got to bring him back. So I think he used to get too much hate. I think people are kind of on the fence of liking him a lot more now since that Netflix documentary came out, The Quarterback, and that kind of shed light on the person that he was and just the adversity that he faced throughout his whole quarterback career. And my second option would be none other than himself, my favorite non-Viking player in the league, Joe Burrow. Joe Burr. I'm standing and dying on a hill for Joe Burrow. I don't care what you say. He's better than Josh Allen.
I
I think he's the second best quarterback in the
think
league.
he's better than
And
Lamar right now.
yeah, yes, I do. But he's been hurt. You can't really say this season because Joe Burrow's been hurt for at least 6 or 7 games. So
How much big games has he missed this year?
yeah, I know he missed two with they were like starting him and not starting him, and then he's missed like the last 4 games. So it'd be right at 6.
Because so he's missed 6 games this year. He tears ACL
That,
for
he,
first game,
yeah,
first
yeah,
season.
yeah. Hmm.
So okay, how many years? He's played 3 years now.
Yeah, I'd be going to year 4 next year.
Year four. So 2 years. He's been banged up pretty bad.
Yeah,
And my only issue is that I got to give him the same amount of crap that I gave Lamar for being
being
hurt.
injured.
Yeah, because being injured like
Yeah.
so much and like
Well, yeah, I feel like it's more of a negligence against the team playing him with that wrist injury, though. They knew
that
he
was
was hurt
weird.
and they still played him. So
That
I
was
feel like that's not more of Joe, that's more on the team. Um, but for the ACL thing, I mean, that's freak accidents happen
they
with
do.
athletes. And I think if he gets another major injury, then we've got a big discussion for, you know, injury Joe Burrow. So I think next year he'll bounce back and be a great quarterback.
Joe
But I'm standing on a
Burrow's
hill and dying for
Joe
him.
Burrow's the new Alex Smith. Gets hurt every year.
Don't even say that now. Golly. Don't even put that in the air.
No,
But
no, Alex Smith. He's Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow will win an MVP in the next 2 years.
I think he has the ability to. I picked him win this year, and he didn't. He's not winning it for me this year.
No, Lamar was my pick, so that might
Hey,
pan out well. We'll see.
he's in the running right now. But did you know? I just want to throw this out there. Every QB that has beaten the 49ers this year has lost their starting QB. They've gotten injured. Joe Burrow and the
Hmm.
Bengals, Kirk Cousins, and
Yep.
then Deshaun Watson.
Wow.
Really weird. So who just beat who? Who just beat the Niners?
The Ravens.
Yeah.
Are you putting something out there in the air? No,
I'm
I'm
just
just kidding.
saying it's weird
Yeah.
coincidence. It's a weird
Yeah, that is very
coincidence.
weird. Hmm. Well, we'll go ahead and move on to the next segment. So, Debo and Percy Harvin comparison. Who do you think is the better rushing wide receiver all
Ooh,
time?
I like this. I like this. Debo Samuel has 19 rushing touchdowns, the
Mhm.
most by any wide receiver. Is that not crazy? First off, that is
Yeah, it is.
that low, comparatively
Mm-hmm.
for like a career is only like.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think Debo like how do I put this? I think that I'd have to go with Debo on this, even though I'm a huge Percy Harvin guy. Like he was
Mm-hmm.
amazing in Florida, amazing in
Oh yeah.
Florida. But I'm gonna have to go with Debo on this, and the reason
Yeah.
why is he's doing it in the pros at a high level,
Yeah.
and you know how I say that I think that Christian McCaffrey is the best dual threat running back at rushing
Mm-hmm.
and receiving.
Yeah.
I think that Debo is the best running back wide receiver.
Mm. I would agree with you.
And I would
Yeah.
also say, just to throw this out there for you, Derrick Henry is the best running back quarterback. Dude's thrown so many touchdowns
Yeah,
in his
he
career.
does. He really does. Um, Debo and Percy Harvin. That's a very interesting comparison. And when you think about it, Percy Harvin highlights went crazy at Florida and with the Vikings and Seahawks and the pros. I'm going to give it to Debo though, not only just because of the stat, having the most rushing touchdowns all time as a receiver, but he's I feel like more versatile. I feel like he could return punts. I mean, that's the thing we don't really get from Debo yet, but Percy did that. He returned some punts and kickoffs. But I think I'm going with Debo Samuel on this one slightly. I don't think it's by a whole lot, but I'm gonna have to give it the edge to Debo on this one.
No, I love like I'm pretty sure didn't Percy like return like a punt or a kickoff against the Broncos in the Super Bowl too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Hmm. He
it was a
did.
it was huge. I was happy for him because like I said, like he played with Tebow back in the day at Florida. I loved it. Like
Oh yeah.
I was hoping he would amount more in the pros, but oh well.
Yeah. And honestly, Debo is still in his peak currently, so he could have well over 19 rushing touchdowns as a receiver, and not only that, but just receiving yards and touchdowns as a receiver itself. So I'm going to take Debo in this one. But who do you guys have, Percy Harvin or Debo Samuel? But we'll go ahead and move on to NBA talk. What are your thoughts on the NBA in-season tourney and why? Because the Lakers won it this year.
My take on the in season tournament, I think that the in season tournament is fucking cool. I like the courts. It's something
Yeah.
different. This is a
Hmm.
boring time in the NBA. I'm gonna be real. It's all right. Here's the thing about NBA and NCAA basketball. Here's the comparison. No one gives a crap about the regular season. Not
Yeah.
really. Not like to the same extent, like because there's so many games, 82 games in a season,
Hmm.
and I don't think that the games like the season length should be shortened. But I like
Hmm.
this concept that's been brought up with like the sin season tournament. I wouldn't hang a banner for it or wear a ring. You could put a
No, no.
trophy in a trophy case, and that's cool. I'm fine with that. But like, I thought the banner was like cheesy. I'm gonna be real. It's not the real finals,
Yeah.
and like, and I could get understanding raising a banner for, how would you say the like Western Conference champions, right? That's fine.
Hmm.
That's fine. I have no issue with
Yeah.
that. And then your finals, but I would never hang an in season tournament banner.
Hmm.
I like the fact that it's a
No.
money prize because that gets them to play harder.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that.
That's yeah.
That's a big factor for me because they're actually playing. It's not just like the All Star game every year.
Hmm.
So I like that a lot. That they're willing to do different things to try and bring in the audience because the in-season
Hmm.
tournament was a lot of fun. You break them into subgroups and then work your way into the bracket.
Yeah.
Like I liked it. I wish
Hmm.
I wish we did something different or something else. Not for that, but like NCAA to make it like maybe more tournaments or something, bigger
Hmm.
tournament. I don't know. I don't know how you would fix that. I would actually just leave it alone because I don't care about the regular season. I'll watch a few games during the regular season for college, but the bracket, man, March Madness is where I
Yes, sir. Oh
love the
yeah.
brackets, love
100%.
what like finding out the scores for all these games. I love it. So like that part,
It's
I leave alone.
yeah. The
Ooh,
college basketball March Madness is my favorite tournament out of any sport.
how about that? How about that for the NBA? We do like, you could do the in season tournament every other year and just do like a 30 team bracket.
That would be so much chaos, imagine.
Bro, like it would be so much fun. Like
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
not saying like uh multiple series. I'm saying one
yeah,
win
no, no, no.
elimination.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. That'd be really cool. I would love to see that.
Yeah, like you do like I don't know how you break it up, but like mid
Mhm.
season, like right after the All Star game,
Yeah.
you go right into the bracket series.
Mhm.
That'd be so cool to see.
That would be very interesting. But my thoughts on the end season tourney, I enjoyed it. I think it's pretty interesting to get the players incentive with I mean with cash, of course, the winner would get pretty penny. And I think it was cool how they made the brackets to your point of the different groups like A, B, C, D, etc. But I don't know. I think they should change some of the ways they kind of made it. I don't know. It was engaging for a couple of weeks, but I feel like they should have made it a little bit longer to where I know they're going to try to engage the audience because, like you mentioned, the 82 game season, it's pretty long. No one's going to pay attention to all of the games until the playoffs, and they're trying to do something about that. But I don't know. In the future, we'll see how it goes.
Viewership should
This year,
so low during this time period.
Yeah, it really is, and I get them trying to try something new to try and engage the audience of the NBA fans during the season. And I thought it went pretty well, but I would definitely run it back next year and make some slight changes. But I think they did a good job.
No, I like the concept and uh like I like they did the bubble to try and get the fans to give the people something at home to watch. I thought that the
Yeah.
premise was really good. I still have. I mean, that's basically what the
Yeah.
NC the. I mean, that's what the bubble was like an in season tournament basically, not a real championship. But
Yeah.
that's my opinion, not everyone else's. So I'm not gonna throw that on everyone else. But no, I just
Yeah.
like it. I think it's a cool concept. These are
Mhm.
cool ideas. Like, and he's not done. Like, he's already talked about two more expansion teams. He's already talked about the changes at the All Star game, going back to East versus West instead of this
Mm.
lotto draft that they're doing with players pick teams. I don't like that. I need the All Star team and stuff to be fun,
Yeah.
and I want the
East versus West.
East versus West. Put 500K on the line again. It's not like the NBA is struggling for money. Put another
Exactly.
500K on
Yeah.
that, and
That'd be,
whoever wins, like make it that way. You got the best of best balling out trying to get that like half a mil. Do it. It's gonna be
exactly.
so good.
I agree full heartedly. I mean, whenever the NBA All Star was at its finest, was East versus West. The competitive edge was there. I mean, you had Kobe taking on uh, LeBron and just several
Oh yeah,
different
back
athletes
when LeBron
going
played
at
in
it.
the East,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
forever ago. It seems like, man.
yeah. So I enjoyed it back then, and I think they should go back to that and like leave it like that. But going back to the end season tourney, I think it was very corny of them to raise a banner for winning that. I think giving them a championship trophy, sure, that's a-okay. I'm fine with that. But raising a banner in your arena for that, that's settling for less, because you're not even winning the NBA championship. You're winning a consolation prize, if you will. So I don't know. I don't really like doing that, but team morale, sure, go ahead, I guess. But I don't think
It's
that would
just
be,
it's just
yeah.
corny, man. Like it's just like okay, hear me out. This is the last bit I'll say on this.
Yeah.
I'll just get that out of the way.
Mhm.
Imagine you're a team, right? Imagine you're I don't know. I'm trying to think of a team. I'm trying to think of a team. Oh, Orlando Magic. I'll use my team. There we go.
Yeah.
Orlando Magic. I'll use my team. The Orlando Magic have never won a finals. We've been Eastern Conference champions twice.
Mm.
We have two banners. And a couple retire. Like I think we're retiring Shaq's jersey and like Penny and maybe.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's besides the point. So next to those two Eastern Conference champions, an in-season tournament banner. It
Yeah.
just does not
It
like
doesn't
as
sit
a
well with me.
fan, I'm like, fuck, no, man, don't be doing that. Just take it
I mean,
down, leave the Eastern up. I don't want to see that. That's just so
it
cringy.
def it defeats the purpose of the competitive edge trying to beat each other to get a playoff spot. Because why are you hanging this up? Are you celebrating mediocrity? I mean, yeah, that's a good thing. You won that, sure. But that does not do anything for you in the playoffs. That's just a regular season championship, if you
Like
will.
last time I checked, the Lakers are like eighth in the West right now too. So like that's great that you
Mhm.
won the in season tournament. That may be the only thing you win this year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's right. It's true. We'll go ahead and move on to the next segment, everybody. So, little baseball talk. I don't know if you haven't heard this here yet. This baseball talk, real quick. Shohei Ohtani. Have you heard the Mega Millions kid himself of what he got for his deal?
bro got absolutely astonishing amount of money. Like there's a lot of money in this world. I did not think I would be alive, and someone's like, "Yeah, I want you to come play for me, and this is what I'm paying you." I'm like, "Bro,
Yeah.
like that's absolutely outrageous." Like, when
10 years, $700 million is
they,
mind
they don't
boggling.
have limits on, like that's a weird thing with MLB. They
Yeah.
don't have limits on
Yeah.
like years or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, I don't know. I mean, can I complain though? The dude's getting. It's not like the guy's getting robbed on a contract.
No.
They,
I mean, a big market team paying for the best player in possibly the history of the sport.
the dude doesn't even
Um,
have to leave town.
oh no.
That's the craziest part. Like you hear like oh he, like you're going to New York. He's he's already in LA, so like across the country, change the life. No, man doesn't even have to change his address. Man just gets to stay at home and gets to sit here and be like, yeah, oh, I just changed my jersey and that's it. I just go
Yeah.
going this
Did
way
you
is going
hear?
this
Yeah,
way.
exactly. Did you hear what he's doing though?
Amen.
He's deferring all of that money to whenever he retires. He is getting only 2 million every year until that contract is up. He's backloading it until he retires. So he's not trying to get paid all that money in his contract through the 10 years up until he retires and then they owe him that much more that much money.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, to be
Very
so
very smart.
to be yeah, no, I'm perfectly fine with it. That makes sense. Like live off the 2 million until you're retired.
A lot of people think he's the best player to ever step foot in the MLB.
Can you
And
who? I mean,
yeah.
I don't even know much, but like I know like so much of the greats, but like that sounds astronomically like just insane to be
Mhm.
that good at both. Like he
Yeah.
sounds like a
And
guy you would make on like an MLB game.
exactly. And here's my question. Do you think it's more competitive back then in the MLB or back then in the NBA? Because you can make an argument that the MLB right now is way more athletic than it ever was back in the day playing. But back in the day with NBA, I could see it being a little bit more competitive. Like talking about generations, like the baseball era right now, there's a lot better athletes than there were back in the day. Like Babe Ruth, those guys were not very athletic. They were good players, but I think you had better basketball players at that generation athletically and just legacy wise than there were for baseball players. I could be wrong, but that's just my thoughts.
I don't hate the take. Like it, I mean, there's a good possibility of it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I like to point out to people like because I've talked to a lot of people and they want to say like oh they played against plumbers stuff. You know, you get my point. Like they're like, oh, they played against plumbers.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
with that same concept of theory, then like for people who like, for example, like they would say LeBron James is the greatest player of all time right now.
Mm,
That same logic, I mean, there eventually going to be somebody better than LeBron, and like every and so forth, and better than them. They're like
yeah.
with that same concept, like oh, they played against plumbers, they didn't play against anybody, because like then every generation is just better and better. Therefore, there is no like greatest of all time, just greatest of now.
Mm,
So,
yeah. I mean, that's an interesting, food for thought. But I think I mean, we go and look at it. So Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani were teammates for several years with the Angels. They never made the playoffs, Stash.
that's
They never made the playoffs together.
mind-boggling. Also, how do you not make the playoffs with those two?
I mean, baseball is such a team sport,
That's
but you
true.
got to think you got to think about it. Mike Trout before Shohei really blew up was considered widely as the best MLB player in the entire league. So whenever he got there, you have two of the best players on your team in the entire MLB, and yet they cannot make the playoffs. So that just goes to show how much you got to have for different positions. You got to have depth. You got to have, the rotations. You got to have a good GM, good coach, like etc. So baseball, it goes beyond just having two great players.
I mean, that's also true, but two of the best players in the league, and you can't make the playoffs. Like,
Yeah.
could you imagine? I don't know.
Like imagine having like
Take Steph and
Patrick Mahomes and
oh,
Justin Jefferson on your same team, or like NBA, the Greek Freak and Luca.
that's what. Yeah, I was gonna say like
Like what?
Steph and Jokic actually, but
Yeah,
that was
Steph
where
and
my
Jokic.
mind went was Steph and Jokic. Yours went Giannis and Luca. We are not the same, man. We are not
Well,
the same.
hey, I just named two great players off the top of my head.
I'd name two better players
All
off the top of my head.
right, that's a whole nother debate for a different time. But so let us know down below what you guys think about this Shohei Ohtani mega deal. And do you
Man,
think he'll make the playoffs? Will he make the playoffs with the Dodgers year one? So we'll go and move
I'm
on.
gonna call it
Yeah,
this
yeah.
year. He doesn't make it.
All
I'm
right, we'll
calling it
revisit
now.
this.
Well, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna say he doesn't make it. I say if he wants to make the playoffs, he's got to leave LA. There you go. That's your.
LA is the widely favored team to win the entire World Series next
Aren't
year.
they
But okay.
always? It's it's all it is. Like it's all it is. LA hype. That's all it is. LA hype. Every year. You know what? Before the season started, we were like, Lakers gonna win it all. Lakers gonna get it done. Lakers in forward. Like they're gonna get it done. They're at 8th seed right now. That's all I'm
I
saying.
never said
Like
that.
it's
I never said
always,
that.
huh? Not
I
you.
never said
No,
that.
not you. Not you. Not you. I'm just saying
Yeah.
people. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
saying
yeah.
people say that. I'm like, nah,
Mm,
get out of here. It's just LA hype.
fair. That's fair.
Same for like the Knicks
Yeah.
every year.
It's a big, well, those teams are big market media
They
teams, and they
are.
just try to feed it. So
They feed it and feed it when
yeah,
it's when a
until
little
it becomes reality.
Orlando or maybe a little San Antonio is out here balling,
Yeah, buddy. Yep.
or the Pacers. Man, that one that
Halliburton though.
bro, did you see that stats? No
Mm-hmm.
turnovers. I was like, the man is dissing out of shit like he's John Stockton.
He's been balling.
Dude
Young
is
stud in the making.
incredible.
Oh yeah. He's legit.
I saw that pop up on ESPN. I was like, man, the dude is nuts.
Mm-hmm. But we'll go ahead and move on to golf talk, surprisingly.
We have golf already?
So yeah, what is your thoughts? What is your thoughts on the live golf versus PGA? I'll go ahead and start because you may not know a whole lot about
I
this
know
stash,
nothing
but
about this.
so the live golf and the PGA have been feuding back and forth for the past several months, and one of the best players, if not the number one player in the entire nation, John Rahm, signed a huge deal going to live golf, taking away the best player in the sport. So Rory McIlroy is one of the best advocates for the PGA, and he does not he despises the live golf itself. And
Why?
so basically, what this is boiling. All right, I'm gonna get to my point. This is basically live golf and PGA don't like each other because they're taking away the best players from the sport to the live golf. So those players in live golf cannot compete in the Masters, PGA Championship, non-major championships from the sport historically. So they're getting a bag elsewhere with live, but they cannot compete in the PGA like historical championships each year, the big three or big four of the Masters, PGA Championship, U.S. Open, etc. So those guys cannot compete and make their legacy known. And the I mean PGA, that's golf's essential name brand. You know
Right.
what it is. So, but the live golf, it's essentially taken away those players and just given them a lot of money for competing and playing on different courses, and they can't intertwine. But there's been rumors that in the future they might be merging, and I don't know how they would do that though, because you're sacrificing a lot of money, um, and just the integrity of the sport itself. I don't know how that would be amplified because those players going over to the live, if you bring them back, I don't know how they're gonna do it. I really don't.
So let me get this straight. I'm going to use this as a comparison with. I'm just going to use two teams.
Hmm.
That way, it's a little easier for me to
Yeah.
understand with my pea-sized brain here. So the 49ers are the PGA.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Cowboys, and they're going to be lit.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
you're telling me that the Cowboys are coming over here and paying the 49er players to come over here and play instead of playing for the 49ers, and they're just giving them a bag?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't. Okay, that's. But like, that just happens.
Mm-mm.
No, like what I'm
Now,
saying is,
I'll here.
like if they become free agents, like if they're in between contracts, they're allowed to talk to both. So if they want to sign with Live and get like a big fat contract, like well,
But
here's the thing: you are fine with college students and playing pros going anywhere they want to get the bag, but you're not okay with this. Why?
okay, here is my definitive answer. Okay, I'm okay with someone who's near retirement age, like a Phil Mickelson, or someone very new coming out of college that you know is a hot shot like this, the next dude of the sport to go to the live golf because you got that, guaranteed money because you're not guaranteed to, get all that money in the PGA. You got to place well in those tournaments. So if you're a really young kid or near the age of retirement, go for it. Go to the live, get your bag. But if you're in your prime in the PGA, you're sacrificing the integrity of the sport and just the history itself for money. I don't get it because you can still make tons of money in the PGA because there's not a huge amount of difference between PGA money and live money. So John Rahm, this was the big guy they got. This was like getting Steph Curry or one of the best players in the NBA. You get John Rahm for live golf. He can't compete in the PGA Championship. He can't compete in the Masters or the US Open because he's in the live.
So he can't bring in the draw.
No, the PGA
Okay.
can't. That's the big thing. It's
Okay.
like they're losing their best players to live, and they're pissed. They're very mad about
Pay
it.
him more. I mean,
That's
that's
why
all you can
no,
really
John.
say. Like, if you
Yeah,
want them in PGA, offer the same money that they're getting offered to live or more.
and
That's all you can
and
do.
John. Yeah, that's very true. And John Rahm, he said that they have a little bit of bad conflict with the commissioner of the PGA, so they've got to get that resolved if they want their best players.
I'm just I don't like for me. I'm just like I'm not a big golf guy, which is fine. But like my point is, I just don't see a really a big like they're sacrificing integrity for the sport by not competing in the Masters and some of these others, which is I get the integrity there. Like it hurts like that. You know, it's like an
Hmm.
undefeated team getting left out of the BCS championship playoffs. You know, like this year.
Hmm.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
like with the same, but the reason they did that is for money.
yeah.
So like,
All right, let me give you this hypothetical, okay?
okay,
So, would you rather make $200 million in your career with Live, but never ever have anything to your legacy? You can't win any like major championships. You're not known as a worldwide like goat for golf. Or would you rather make 100 million in the in PGA and your world like your top five golfer of all time? Everybody in the world know who you are. You have like 5 or 6 major championship wins. So, I mean, it just goes down to what do you value more? More money or a lot of money, but more like you're well known across the sport more with like the history of the game.
that makes sense. And like for me personally, I would pick legacy. That's me.
Hmm. Me too.
But if you compare a lot of athletes today, they don't go for that. It's I mean, and I don't blame them because some of them
No.
have it like family issues and they're trying to get as paid as much as possible and to help their
Yeah.
family and everything. I get that. But what I'm saying is some people don't care about like in the NBA. Like if I was in the NBA, my main focal point is to get that ring. Like have something not everyone has. Like like
Hmm.
create the legacy. Like the rings are an easy way to get legacy. So I would want that.
Hmm.
But there's plenty of players in the league who probably don't care about actually winning a ring.
Yeah.
All they care about is
Yeah.
like I get paid fat for this.
Yeah, exactly. That is the sad truth.
But
And
it's to each their own kind of sense at the same time.
yeah, I mean, yeah, each everybody has their own opinion. And like I said, if you're older, like Phil Mickelson or a young stud, go get your bag because nothing's guaranteed in this sport. I mean, you've got to place well to earn your money. But if you're in your prime, like Rory or some of these other guys, like Brooks Koepka was in his peak and he left to go to the live golf, like I don't get it. And Rory McIlroy is a huge advocate for PGA. He's from Northern Ireland, and that's kind of like that's really close to where golf originated from back in the day. So I can see why he's more pressing for people to stay in PGA just to kind of hold on to the historical aspect of golf and make sure it's not, taken away from. But and Tiger Woods also, of course, Tiger. He's a huge
One
advocate
one of the
for
few
PGA.
golfers I actually
Yeah. So he is a big advocate for PGA alongside Rory McIlroy.
I mean, but has Adam? I mean, has Happy Gilmore commented on the matter yet? That's what I need to know.
That is
That
the
is
person
my
we have to ask.
personal favorite golfer of all time.
And Shooter McGavin, we've got to ask him.
Shoot him. No.
Shooter. But all right, everybody, let us know down below what you think and what's your opinion on this. Are you siding with PGA or Live Golf?
I hope they have fun.
Go play golf. You betcha. But we'll go ahead and move on to the last segment of the day, everybody. We're going back to NFL. So I'm gonna name some receiver stash, and you give me which two out of the four are you taking
2 out of 4. All right, go ahead. It's
in their
easy.
prime? All
Easy.
right.
I'm gonna beat this. This is gonna be the easiest
And
list I've
hey,
heard.
not legacy, not it's in their peak form, in their prime.
No problem. All right.
Antonio Brown,
Okay.
Julio Jones,
Okay.
DeAndre Hopkins,
Okay.
and AJ Green.
Easy. This is like an easy answer.
Yeah.
100%.
Ooh, all right.
I'm taking the first two. 100%.
Really?
No thought about it. Antonio Brown, prime Antonio Brown,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Also,
Mm-hmm.
prime Julio, also unbelievable. AJ Green was
Mm-hmm.
good. I think he was good. I never thought he was a top 5 wide receiver in the league. So I wouldn't
Mm.
really. So my personal take on that, I don't have like. So I just don't think about it. Like
Yeah.
even in prime, I'm like he's not top 5. And then yeah, D Hop was close. I like D Hop. Prime D Hop was nuts, but like I still don't think. I think Mike Evans is better than D Hop. So I would have, but I don't. I don't know if I put Mike Evans over Antonio Brown, Julio Jones.
Mm.
So I'm gonna have to go with Antonio Brown. Like prime man, like prime Antonio was nuts, more nuts than he is today.
Yeah.
Too bad the Bengals, man. The Bengals they did it to him.
Vontaze perfect. The headhunter. I like your two options. I really do. I'm picking Antonio Brown, and my second option is very close. But I'm going DeAndre
Going
Hopkins. I'm going
Hop
him
over
over Julio.
Julio?
Yeah. You want to know
Really?
why? Yes. You want to
Really?
know why?
What?
Because Julio Jones, he had a little over 1,000 more yards in his career, receiving yards over DeAndre Hopkins. But Hopkins has 13 more touchdowns in his career than Julio Jones ever did. And now, hear me out, hear me out. Julio Jones was a freak of nature in Atlanta. He was definitely faster. But when you want a receiver in their prime, DeAndre Hopkins has top three hands of all time. But yeah, everybody, my pick is Antonio Brown and DeAndre Hopkins. So Stash has got, out of these four, we'll go back, AB, Julio, DeAndre, and AJ Green. He picked Antonio Brown and Julio, and my two was Antonio Brown as well, but I picked DeAndre Hopkins. Who you in agreement with? JT or Stash's
And anybody that says
list?
D Hop and AJ, you're wrong. I'm sorry, you're just wrong.
AJ.
Yeah, AJ Green.
I said D Hop and
No, not you. I'm saying
AB, but
anyone who
yeah,
picked out the four.
yes, I agree. AJ Green should not be picked anybody. If you pick him, we'll have some questions for you. But that is the end of the segment. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a pleasure, and tune into our TikTok. It's doing very well. It's the same handle, Thunder Sports Pod. Leave a comment, sub if you haven't already, and check us out on TikTok, like I mentioned. But it's been JT and
Stash, baby. We out.